I trust that you are doing. So in today's video, we are diving into the most talked about books. I used to hear people say, I'm lost in Khalid's world, and I was like, okay, let me see what is in this book. So today we are going to dive into the Kite Runner, A Thousand Spreading Suns, and the Mountains Echoed, to just talk about how Khalid's, first of all, his style of writing, why these books are so powerful, the lessons they teach us, why they stay with you long after you have read them, long after you're finished with them. And once you pick one of Khalid's book, you will not put it down until the last page because his style of writing is so beautiful. There are also books that have themes such as loss, redemption, and you just see about, I think I have said in this channel before, any book written in Afghanistan, I'm going to read it. I have a couple of books set in Afghanistan and I love them. Afghanistan, Iran, Pakistan. I love books written there, and this Khalid's books are at the heart of Afghanistan. They're written, the three of them, at the heart of Afghanistan. This is very I've talked about this one before, very multi-generational. Then there is, of course, this one. This one broke my heart. Oh my goodness, this one broke my heart. Mariam Jo and Laila. Then there is the Kite Runner, Amir, Jan, and Hassan. So we're going to dive into the books and just be like, okay, why are Khalid books very much known, why they're famous, and why they stay with you long after you read them? Because one thing Khalid does, and he does it so well, you just don't read a book, he just doesn't tell stories, he makes you feel. I think that's the most amazing thing about his writing. He's not only telling you a story, but he's making you feel. These are books I have taken some time to read because I really wanted to. One thing I do is once I start a series, I read it through. So I had to read the three of them at a go, or rather back to back, so that I was able to just pick in the lessons, to just pick in the themes and be like that. So from there, that's today's video. In a nutshell, we're going to be discussing the most talked about books. Khaled Hossein, he's an amazing author. Oh my goodness, he just does not write stories. He makes you feel like you're at the heart of Afghanistan, hearing the war. When he describes the Taliban, it's like you're there. When he describes the things that are happening there, you feel, reading these books, it makes you feel like you're in the heart of Afghanistan, seeing these things happen. So the first book we're going to dive in is The Kite Runner. The Kite Runner, I think, is one of the most famous, known, and read of Khalid's books. And one thing he says is that in all the three books, there are lots of children in Afghanistan, a lot of them, but very little childhood or no childhood because of the things that happen there, because of the war and their upbringing. So the first book we are going to pick is The Kite Runner. Oh my goodness, Hassan and Amir Jan. So this story, the main themes that stood out for me in this book were betrayal, redemption, the scars of the past between two childhood friends in Afghanistan. The childhood friends are Hassan and Amir. So Hassan is a son too. Like, one thing, when I finished reading this book, I was like, I wish they knew they were brothers from the word go, because it's a story of childhood. And guys, the things were going so well up until things happened to Hassan, because Amir is the one, he's going to school. Hassan does not go to school because he's a child to the slave of Kina Amir. So when Amir comes from school, the first thing, he's so eager to teach Hassan how to write, how to read. He reads stories to him and he's so excited. I mean, like, the childhood, childhood, they're like this, they're so tight. And I remember one of the most famous quotes in this book that has been said again and again. If you go to Pinterest, it's all over, is what Hassan tells Amir: for you 1,000 times over. That's so beautiful. Like, he meant, they were so tight, they did so many things together, they rode bicycles together, they played together, they just became, because Hassan's mother abandons him, then Amir's mother dies at birth, so both of them are deprived of mothers. And so what happens is that Amir does not know the mother, Hassan does not know the mother as well, so they grow up from Amir is being raised by the father, Hassan the same, but Hassan Hassan's father is the slave to Amir's child. Okay, they say it's slave, but ni kama servant wake. So they grew up in the same household, although Hassan wanaishi kwa staff quarters, I mean, for lack of a better word. Then they do so many things together. Then this one time, Hassan is a very good kite runner. I think that's where the book gets the title. Then one time, they're having a competition and he allows Amir to win because he's been teaching Amir how to do it. Then he tells Amir, Hassan says, Hassan runs to go get the kite. Then there are bullies who'd been bullying the two of them. Then they assault Hassan, and from there his life changes. And from there, that's where betrayal comes in. And Amir saw, but he's very afraid to confront it, and now things start coming in between them to a point where Amir takes money and goes and puts it in the house of Kina Hassan to accuse Hassan had stolen. And one thing, Ake Hassan is such a sweetheart. When he's asked, did you steal that money? He says yes, and it's not him who stole that money. So from there they leave, and now it goes years later when Amir and the father have moved to the States, and the father dies of cancer, and now he's married, but he still thinks about the childhood friend. Then he comes back to Afghanistan and finds that Hassan, who unfortunately, oh my goodness, was killed by the Taliban in a very gruesome way. But Hassan had a son. Hey, wow, Hassan had a son. He's called, not Shakbor, Shohrab is the son to Hassan. And now that's when Amir is told, he's given a letter that says that Hassan was the brother. Oh my God, it's so heartbreaking. It's so heartbreaking for him to come and learn that Hassan has already died. And that's when he's learning that this guy that he thought was the childhood friend is actually his stepbrother. Yeah, so one of the things that run in this book is guilt and redemption. Like, their friendship was so good up until the kite competition and things happen. So let me show you. One thing I do is I do this a lot. Because this book is so beautiful. And I mean, Hassan is one of those friends that we all need. He's such an honest person. And I think there is a point where he tells Amir, one thing about the people who tell the truth, we think that everybody else is telling the truth. He was such an honest guy. Yeah, so it's such a beauty, and he keeps telling you for you 1,000 times over. He teaches Hassan how he reads stories to Hassan. And actually, Amir is an author. He is an author when he grows up, and he says that when he started writing, it's because Hassan didn't know how to write. He didn't know how to read. So he would come, take a book and read to him. And one day he diverted from reading from the book and started giving him his own stories. Started giving Hassan his own story. And Hassan was so excited. And he didn't believe that was from his head. He was like, wow. So that night he went to the house and wrote his first poem. And now he says, the following day he read it to Hassan. Like, Hassan was the first actual audience of his writing. Yeah, so it's a beautiful book. KHALED is from Afghanistan and he's an author, and sometimes I feel like he's Amir in some way. I feel like he's Amir, even the way he describes things and everything. This is one of the most read KHALED's books. It's called The Kite Runner, I think the most famous one. So when Amir is reading these stories to Hassan, Hassan tells him, someday inshallah you'll be a great writer. He actually foresees him becoming a great, and that's what, because he would write, then come and read them to Hassan, and Hassan would be so excited. Remember, he can't read himself, but it's so beautiful. And one thing about this book is it hits different and shows you how life is messy. It shows that love sometimes is not enough, and sometimes that the people we love most are the people who hurt us the most. Because I mean, Hassan loved Amir so much as a friend. Actually, they didn't know they were brothers, and I wish they knew. I think that's one thing that's heartbreaking about this book. I wish they knew that they were brothers from the word go, because maybe he would have been different, or he would have treated him better. But now the bad thing is that Amir does not even get time to apologize or be a better friend to Amir. To Hassan, I mean. Then it even says here that they spoke like they spoke at the same. Hassan and I fed from the same breast. We took our first steps on the same lawn, on the same yard, and under the same roof. We spoke the same. We spoke our first words. Mine was Baba. His was Amir. My name, like their friendship was like this since they were children. So that is one of this book had broke me a lot because I was like, oh my goodness. But now there's a place where it says there's a way to be good again, and that's why he comes to Afghanistan and risk everything. He even battles the Taliban, one of the Taliban, to a point where he now gets, because there's a point where Hassan's child had been taken by the Taliban and they were doing things to him. So he goes there and risks it all to get the friends, or rather now the half-brother's child back. Yeah, it shows that sometimes the people we love the most are the people who hurt us, which is very unfortunate, but it's a beautiful, beautiful book. I would highly, highly recommend. Then book number 2. I just finished this book this week. This week on Tuesday. This one had broke me. This one disappointed me. This one I was so disappointed. The kite runner, I was so disappointed in Amir. So many times I was so disappointed in him because Hassan was so good to him. Then why is he doing all these things? Like, why is he being unfair to him? Why didn't he take the initiative to teach him how to write? And he knew. Yeah, so this one disappointed me. This one I was so disappointed. I was like, but I was also happy when he comes back and gets he risks it all to get Hassan's child and takes him with him to the States. He does everything to make sure that the son gets citizenship, to a visa, to go and live with them and takes care of and go take care of him. I mean, that's maybe a way to. That's why it says maybe there's a way to be good again. But he's being good again and he's paying the price of friendship. I, however, wish and hope and prayed that Hassan didn't have to die the way he died. He was a good guy, I mean. So yeah. Then this one, 1,000 Splendid Hearts. This one had broke me. Mariam and Laila. This one had broke me. A good one. This one is so heartbreaking. So this one is a heartbreaking yet beautiful story of 2 women who are surviving war and oppression and finding strength in each other. So this story is about Mariam and Laila. The story starts where Mariam is born to a rich home, but she's born to the maid. That's how it starts. So the wives of that home decide the mother cannot stay there, so they send her away and they go to a certain place. But the father comes to visit her, and she feels like the mother is being hateful towards the father because they sent her away. But now because the father comes and creates this image of a good father, and Mariam believes him, then one day she decides to get to go and see the father, because she always heard that the father was rich and famous. But every time he just came, he didn't want to go with her, so she decides to go. And when she goes, like, the father does not acknowledge her, and alalapo kwa gate, like, and when she forces herself into the house the following day and sees that the father has been in that house, or else the servants of that house told her that the father was not there, which is very heartbreaking. Then she goes back home because she's heartbroken, because, I mean, you guys told me my father was not here, and kumbe he was here, and even him, now the weight of rejection hits her. Then she goes back home. She goes back home, she finds that the mother has killed herself. The mother has committed suicide, which is very unfortunate, because now she remembers when she wanted to run away, the mother used to tell her, when you go, I will die and everything. Then from there, she moves into the house with the same father who has shown her rejection. Then when she's there and thinking that now she's found the life she's always dreamt of, guess what the father does? Gets her a suitor. She's 15 years old. She's 15 years old. The father marries her off to a 40-year-old. Oh my goodness, it's so heartbreaking. Then she goes there and the guy is so abusive. Then she keeps, I think she's gotten 7 miscarriages. She's not able to carry a pregnancy to term. Then she meets this guy. No, in the neighborhood, this is at the heart where the Taliban have taken over Afghanistan, and there are so many oppressive rules against women. They have to cover their face fully, like it's a new culture for her. And I mean, she's a child, and now she is 15 years old, having to assume the role of a wife. which is something she has never known. So yeah, then from there is when she, like, the husband now who has married her, one day on a stroll to, there is bombing around their neighborhood, and this house is bombed, and there is, when the husband is going around, finds this lady who is called Laila. She's hurt and brings her home. Laila was 12 by the time she's coming to live with Kina Mariam. Then Mariam nurses this lady back to health, and now the husband, oh my god, I don't know, I am sometimes so mad because I'm like, oh my goodness. So Mariam nurses Laila. Then one time she now sees what the husband has, why the husband brought Laila home. She becomes, Laila now, she becomes a second wife in this house that Mariam has now. And now she's, Mariam feels like this lady is a threat. Then they have this enmity. Then at some point, I think they just decided to be like friends. I think they were like, we're just wounded women. We're just, like, we can't be fighting forever. So they become friends. And I think that's, now the man of the house feels threatened. And they're in a house that has so much domestic violence. This guy is beating them. He is beating them like to, is ni kama anatoa tu inga na wao. Then yeah, so they become friends. Then from there they're so tight. Then Laila had fallen in love with a guy called Talik. Then the husband pays somebody to come tell Laila that this guy died, so that she agrees to get married to this guy. And she's like, okay, so my parents have died in this bombing. I don't have anywhere to go. The schools have been bombed. I can't go anywhere. So the only option is to get married. She gets 2 children, but the first child is not of this guy who's married her, is of the guy Talik who she had fallen in love with. Then years later, Talik comes back, and now Laila, this one day, Talik comes to this home. He comes to this home and finds, and the son to Laila had 2 children. She had Aziza and the boy. So the boy is like, there is a visitor who came, and he's like, he's a boy. Yes, the guy is a guy who came. Yes. Then the guy beats Laila almost to kill her. Then when Mariam sees that this guy, the husband now, is going to kill Laila, remember now they are like good friends, they've been talking, they've been like so tight. He decides, Laila goes out, Mariam goes out there, takes a shovel, comes and knocks the husband, and he dies. But at least Laila is saved. Then from there, they decide to escape. But Mariam is like, I'm not going anywhere. They're going to look fast and they're going to find her. So Laila and the children leave. Then Mariam is left. Then what used to happen in these days, all these days, the Taliban days, is when somebody did wrong, she was taken to like a public place. Then you're killed when people hear, like as people see. So she's taken there, and unfortunately Mariam dies. Oh my goodness, that's so heartbreaking. I wish like they got to meet again. Mariam and Laila, they had such a beautiful friendship. They went through so much domestic violence in the hands of this guy. Yeah, but Laila finds happiness in a different country. Then they come back. Once Afghanistan has settled, the Taliban have been driven out, they come back, and now they're doing charity. They're rebuilding orphanages. It's very heartbreaking. Hey, this one heartbroke me. Mariam and Laila Jo. Laila Jo is another word for, it's how they say dear in Afghanistan. Jo or Jan. Even when I was saying Amir Jan is dear, and also here they call it, yeah, that's dear. So this book is this one is heartbreaking. This one is Love and Sacrifice. It's a beautiful book, but very heartbreaking. The moment I picked this one, I couldn't put it down. It's very heartbreaking, very heartbreaking. And again, it reveals the beauty by which KHALED writes. Yeah, it's a beautiful book. And I think what it shows is that sometimes people used to think the Taliban were the only enemies, but it's also the patriarchy thoughts and the way of doing things that's in Afghanistan that was the root, because there's a lot of domestic violence at home, and these men are continuously perpetrating it. That's why they don't want these women to go to school, because they want to marry young girls, and they also want to continue being oppressive to their wives. It's a beautiful book, very heartbreaking, I would say, very heartbreaking. Yeah, but it's I have written here, Rashid is dead now, in the hands of Mariam, defending Laila. Yeah, then when when Laila is going, Mariam tells her to tell the child Aziza, tell her she's the Noor of my eyes, the Sultan of my heart. Oh my God. Then Mariam turned and she never saw Laila again. It's a very beautiful book, and what I've written here is, I wish Mariam Jo was still here to see Laila and Talik's beautiful family, to see the orphanage they have rebuilt, to experience the joy. Yeah, so yeah, I wish Mariam was still here to experience the beauty of life, and here to see how Laila is happy, how to see the children grow up, to see that she has really finally found she's finally found peace and joy, and even for Mariam to experience a life that didn't involve suffering that like she had known. So one thing about Khaled's way of writing is that he makes you feel like you're in Afghanistan in all these books. Even when the way he describes the bombing, the way he describes the way the Taliban are punishing people, you feel like you're there watching it. His style of writing is so after these two, the third one is the third of Khaled's, which was the first book I actually did of Khaled, is And the Mountains Echoed. This book is one of the themes in this book are family and fate, and I think it shows you, all these books shows you the resilience in the human spirit. So this is family and fate. This is of the story of Pari and Abdullah, who was separated out at birth, a childhood when Pari is sold to a rich family, then Abdullah remains with the father. Then years later, when they are very, very old, they will find each other again, but Abdullah has lost his memory. He can't remember the sister, but they were so tight, and the leaving of the sister really affected him. So this shows family and fate. Years later, when they have their own families, they have their own children, life has moved, many years later they find each other. It's a beautiful book. This is unlike these two that are mostly very like these have two main characters. This has Amir Jan and Hassan, then this has Mariam and Laila as the center of the story. This has Pari and Abdullah as the center of the story, but it's very multi-generational. It's written in different continents, or it's a multi-generational story filled with emotional depth, shows how small actions have long-lasting effects across generations. Yeah, so it's the interconnectedness of human experiences. Yeah, so the main themes in this book are family and sacrifice, love and loss, all those things. Then war and its consequences. It's a beautiful book. This is not as intense as these two. These two are very, you feel like you are at the heart of Afghanistan experiencing things. This is a beautiful book, family and fate, and again the cost of war. The three of them have the cost of war, and yeah, these books, it's how it destroys lives, culture and relationships. Yeah, so that's all for the Khaled. Have you done? Which one would you want to read? I would recommend you either start with either of the two. I started with the Mountains Echoed, then I picked the Kite Runner, then I finished with this one this week, 1,000 Splendid Suns. So I want to know, which of Khaled's books would you want to read? Which of them have you read? What do you think about his style? Because he's an amazing author. Khaled is these books stay with you longer. Khaled is he's not only telling you a story, he makes you feel. These books are very, very close to my heart now. I just look at them and I'm like, wow, the resilience in the human spirit and how things change and how life is. They're beautiful books that I would highly recommend. I would rate these two. I don't think I would rate 1 and 2. I think this heart broke me. This made me mad, and I was just like, oh my goodness. Then this made me just look forward to reading and seeing the beauty of family. This one shows you the beauty of family and the consequences of some of the decisions that we make. It's very beautiful books. I think these are the most common wide read of Khaled's HOSSEIN's books, but they are very beautifully written. The Kite Runner, this is something else, and A Thousand Spread Its Hands. Oh, Mariam, they're beautiful, beautiful books. I would want to know which of them have you read? Which one would you want to read? What have you heard of any of the books? But any book set in Afghanistan, I am going to read it. Anyway, guys, till next time, thank you for watching. Happy reading.